Badunk! Hello everybody and welcome to Travel Tech 101. My name is Richard and I'm the iLounge manager on board, and I'm one of the last original iLounge managers that came from Apple back in the day. They've tried to get rid of me for 6 years and they haven't. Here's the very cool thing. I want to check before we even get started, how many of us have Apple things, iPhones and iPads and Apple Watch? Now how many of us have other things, Androids? I'm okay. Okay, here's the fun thing. I use iPhone, I use Android, I use Windows, I use Mac, I use Windows Phone. I don't know if anybody really uses those. I use Windows Phone. I use everything but a BlackBerry. Anybody still use a BlackBerry? Yeah. I usually have one Canadian who's like, I still use a BlackBerry, and I look at him and I go, sorry. Because they're from Canada. So here's the cool thing. Almost everything I'm going to show you in the next, this number is going to surprise you, about 22 different courses, which is more than is offered anywhere else in the world. And over the next 22 different courses, will work across the entire spectrum of all of these devices. Now I am going to show everything, majority with Apple products, and the reason is that's what most people have. If you come up to me after a class, if you come up to me up in the iLounge, I can help you out with Androids and other things and Windows phones, and trust me, I really just don't understand BlackBerries, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And the name of this class is Travel Tech 101, and the cool thing is you all come in with no expectations for what that means, and I love it. So it's good because we can talk about some different things. Now, I want to get a couple big questions out of the way that I get from everyone, and then we're going to go to some more interesting things. There are two biggest questions I get, and tell me if I'm wrong, is how do I make sure I don't get charged by my cell phone company a fortune? And we went hour forward last night, how do I change the time? Those are the two big ones I get, and that's across a lot of different devices. Now here's the thing, some of you may know how to change the time, but don't know how to change the time in the correct way. And we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to delve into some different kind of cool things. Now, how many of you called your cell phone company before the cruise, or you called your cell phone company before and you said, I don't want to get these charges, and they told you to go in and switch this and this, and this and this and this off, and turn off mobile data roaming, and turn off background app data, and turn your mail app, and turn this off? Do you know why they tell you that? To confuse you. That's the simple answer. The reason they tell you that is just to confuse you. There is one button that does all of that. And we should all be in that one button, which is called airplane mode. Yes. If you don't see the little airplane in the upper left-hand corner of your device, then you're not in airplane mode. I want to talk about airplane mode and what it turns off, what it disables. So airplane mode, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, is right at the top of your settings. If you have an Android phone or something, it'll be inside of connections. So it'll be inside a little tab that says connections. You actually have something called airplane mode. When you turn that on, it turns off all of the communications features of your phone. So I don't like to call it airplane mode, I like to call it Edward Snowden mode. Disappear like Edward Snowden disappeared. So I call it Edward Snowden mode, but here's what it does. It turns off your cell phone, turns off your GPS, turns off your Bluetooth, turns off your Wi-Fi, turns off all of those different things like that. But airplane mode has evolved a lot over the years. Back in the day, you could turn on airplane mode and you couldn't do anything once you turned on airplane mode to do with any kind of communications. Then all of the airlines, then everybody started having Bluetooth headphones. We're talking about Bluetooth headphones a bit later on the cruise, but everybody started having Bluetooth headphones and different things like that. So they had to make it that once you turn airplane mode on, you could go back and you could turn Bluetooth on. Ooh, I got a phone call. Reject. But the whole idea is we've got airplane mode here, and it turns off Wi-Fi, it turns off Bluetooth, but we can turn back on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth once we're on airplane mode. Does that make sense? So airplane mode is going to turn off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but we can turn Wi-Fi and Bluetooth back on once we turn on airplane mode. That's a very important thing to understand. But what airplane mode will never get you is you cannot use GPS software on airplane mode because it turns off the GPS. And you can't use anything with the cellular data or anything like that inside of airplane mode. But what I want you to understand is when you're using airplane mode, you essentially turn off everything to do with your cell phone company, and that is the easy way to avoid the international roaming. Does that make sense to all of us? Yes. Now, if you have a roaming plan, you can take it off airplane mode when you're in port. So when you're in port, you can take it off. If you have a roaming plan, you can make your calls or whatever you want to do. Now I'm going to talk about something, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into airplane mode and some settings in a little bit, but now I want to go to time. How many of you have the correct time on your device? Did you correct it yourselves? You corrected it this morning yourselves. Last night. And I corrected mine last night too. But here's the question. If you have the time on your device, how did you change the time? Did you manually change the time?
No. I said I was in Aruba.
You said you were in Aruba. That's exactly what we're going to do together. I want to show you why that is important. You said you were in Aruba. You and me did exactly the same thing. So if you're on an iPhone or an iPad, you're going to go to your settings. You can follow along if you want to. Just go to your settings.
You're in Halifax?
Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Bermuda.
Yeah, Bermuda's okay. And we only have one time change this cruise. That's going to sound very strange. We only have one time change because daylight savings time springs forward halfway through this cruise. So we don't actually have the time change going back to Miami, which is kind of interesting. I only found that out last night when I looked at the daily program. But we're going to go to settings, general, and there's something called date and time. And for most of us in this room, it will be set to set automatically. What I want you to do is I want you to turn that off. Turn off set automatically. Now, I am going to demonstrate something with the time that you should hopefully never do. Hopefully, we never do this. Never go in and change the time manually yourself. So if I needed to make it 12:09 and I scroll back to 12:09, that is going to cause me so many problems to go ahead and do that, because what you're doing is you're changing the system time. You never want to change the time, you just want to change your location. So if we turn off set automatically, where it says time zone, we're going to choose, you can type in Aruba, A-R-U-B-A, and you'll see Origenistad, Aruba. So I type in Aruba. Now, if you have an Android device or a Windows Phone device, it's not going to give you all the locations, but what you're at is you're going to be at GMT -4. It's going to be the time zone we're in right now. So it's in GMT -4. But if we go in, we should all have the right time, which is about 1:09 right now, correct? 1:09. Okay, so I'm going to give you the exact time just so you know while we're here. It is 1:08. Now, what is
1:11.
oh, it's 1:11. Sorry, you're right. My phone had a missed call. It's 1:11. You're correct. I wanted to give you ship time. The only legitimate time on the ship comes on the phones in your cabin and the phones that we carry around. You're right with the 11. I'm running a little bit behind, so 10, 11. Actually, it is probably 09, but you know. 1:11 is the time that we've got on the ship. And when they say 1:12, okay, let's. I'm about to bring out a little friend of mine in a second. Yes, the buzzer is a lot of fun. But what we want to do is we want to make sure. Yep.
How do I get it to accept? I've typed in Aruba and that,
So you're going to type in Aruba. It should show Origenistad here.
yes.
Tap it. And now you'll have the right time. So here's the question. This is probably the only 60 people together in a room on this ship right now that actually all have the right time on their device. Think about that for a second. That's a problem solved. That's a big problem solved. Is we don't? Uh-oh. Now, if you don't have the right time, this is why. If you've ever gone ahead and manually changed the time before, the no-no way that I showed you, it's going to mess up the whole time zone and everything like that. So what I recommend, this is going to sound strange, set your time zone back to Miami, change it to the time it is in Miami, and then change your time zone to Aruba. That's the logic. Why are you changing it? Because we go an hour forward. Where? In settings, general, date and time, and turn off set automatically. That's where you miss it. And then you type in Aruba, where it says Cupertino. So turn off set automatically, or Geniston, and you're in the right time there. Yeah, just leave it like that. We technically don't need to change it again, because I usually say when we get to St. Martin and we leave St. Martin, we change it back. But you can just turn set automatically back on when you get back to Miami, when you get back to the States. If you leave set automatically on, and we pass by some island that has different time, your phone is going to change its time. and you're going to wake up 2 hours late for your shore excursion or 2 hours early for your shore excursion. So I want to make sure we all leave set automatically off for the duration of this cruise. Once we leave St. Martin, time becomes irrelevant, so it's okay. So I'm just going to go back to Miami time once we leave St. Martin at the end of this cruise, which is a really, really cool thing. Now, I want to talk about something now for the Americans, and then we're going to go to the Canadians in a minute. I think that covers all the ins. We have UKians? Any UKians? Okay, UKians, we'll get to you in a minute. But I want to talk about something for the Americans, something for the, and then we'll talk for the Canadians. The UKians, I've got something for you a bit later on. But here's one of the big things. Okay, if I put it on airplane mode, how do I make a phone call? I think that's a valid question. If I put it on airplane mode, how do I make a phone call? Now you'll notice that my device is on airplane mode. But what I'm going to do right now is going to make some of your brains hurt. I understand this, but I want to show it to you and I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing. I'm going to open up the phone application. This is the normal, on the iPhone, phone application. Don't worry, don't follow, I want to show you. And I'm going to call my mom. Now, I'm not calling her on FaceTime. I'm not calling her on Facebook. I'm calling her actual cell phone in airplane mode. I'm going to explain to you how I'm doing this, but I can call my mom. I'm going to see if she wants to pick up.
She's in Miami, right?
She's in Miami. I'm calling her AT&T cell phone. Oh, call failed. Give Richard a second. I need a better phone. No, I set something up before the class and it's being stupid with me. No, we're good. It just call failed me for no reason. Let's try my mom.
She gets called every class.
She gets called every cruise. Now understand, this is not FaceTime, this is none of that. This is her calling her actual phone. We're going to see if she wants to pick up. Come on, mother.
Go shopping.
She's out. She picks up the phone when I call normally. If she doesn't want to. Aww. Hello, Mother.
How's the diet going? I've seen you filling your circles.
She's asking how the diet's going. They can hear you on your new headphones, but we'll talk about the diet later. I'm not going to a specialty restaurant for dinner tonight. I wasn't on the diet yesterday. Okay. I'm going to let you go. Bye. She knows it's a class because I never call her mother unless I call in the class. So I go, hello, mother. Now, here's the magic question. How did I do that? This is where things get interesting. Now, this is something that has actually killed, for a lot of the nerds, it's killed Skype. It's killed Skype, it's killed a lot of this. Right now, what I'm about to show you only works in the United States, because I'm going to explain to you why it only works in the US. It only works in the US because the way you set it up, you have to tell it where you are. It only works for US carriers, not in the United States. It works for AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile. I'm going to help the Canadians out in a couple minutes. But it only works for those couple of carriers there because when you set it up, it's going to ask you for your address. If you were to call 911 and it wasn't to know where you are, where would it send the police? Your home address. That's the idea. So it's called Wi-Fi calling, and if you have one of the American cell phone carriers, you can actually set it up. You have to take, I'm going to do this very bravely. I'm going to take my phone off of airplane mode for a second. If you're off of airplane mode and you go into where it says phone, you'll see something here called Wi-Fi calling.
We should do that.
Don't need to do it right now. I want you to understand the theory. Again, I can help you with that later. I want you to understand the theory. But Wi-Fi calling will allow you, when you are connected to a Wi-Fi network, to call from your normal phone. Now this works on all iPhones 6 and above, as well as the Samsung Galaxy S6 and above. So the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6S, the iPhone 7, and the iPhone SE. It's actually got a piece of hardware in it, but here's the interesting thing. Unlike Skype, unlike FaceTime, I am calling a real phone number, which is what's really cool. This will roll, the capabilities are inside of the phones. It will roll to other countries very soon, but what I think is interesting is, how many of you get great cell phone service in your house? Nobody. Very few people get that. What this does is when you have Wi-Fi in your house, it digitizes. All of the badness in that line actually came from my mom's AT&T service. So if you have AT&T, Sprint, or T-Mobile, and you're connected to any Wi-Fi network, you can turn on Wi-Fi calling, and it will ask you for your address and different things like that, and you're good. If you have Verizon, you needed to have set up Wi-Fi calling before you left home. So you need to call Verizon to turn it on, and then you turn it on. It's in those things called terms and conditions that none of us ever read. The thing that we just say agree to. You read them?
Do we leave that turned on when we're home?
Yes, so here's the cool thing. You can always leave Wi-Fi calling turned on. So if you leave Wi-Fi calling turned on, you'll notice that at the top of my screen, it says T-Mobile Wi-Fi. So whenever you're connected to Wi-Fi, that will allow you to use your phone just like you're at home. Yeah.
Your mom doesn't have to be sick.
My mom, so just so you understand, I called my mom on her actual cell phone number. I didn't call her on internet. I used internet on my end, but I actually called her cell phone. If you're traveling internationally, you want to make sure you're using Wi-Fi calling while in airplane mode. So I'm going to switch back to airplane mode so I don't make a call and have it cost me an arm and a leg. Yeah.
Would you happen to know, I have a service called Consumer Cellular, but it's
Consumer Cellular does not have it yet. I've been asked that a couple of times. They're working on the implementation of it.
because it's an AT&T chip.
It's running AT&T, but they don't have their own version of Wi-Fi calling yet, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we can't do anything with Verizon at this point.
So Verizon and Canadians. I told you I was gonna talk about the Canadians. Verizon and Canadians. There's a general theme that's going to go to a lot of these classes, and there's one thing that's going to be to really make use of everything I'm going to show you in the next 13 days remaining. One of the major pieces of glue that holds everything together is not Apple or anything like that. It is a Gmail account. Okay? And what I'm about to show you just requires you to have a Gmail account. A Gmail account is free. Now, a lot of people think that AOL is a valid, good, working email provider. How many of you have AOL?
No!
A lot of you might think that that Yahoo is a valid, good work. Well, nobody thinks that anymore, hopefully. Yahoo's had more accounts hacked than there are human beings on this planet. Think about that for a second. So Verizon, Yahoo.
No!
Now, why do I mention both those? Both AOL and Yahoo are being bought by Verizon. So they're going to be Verizon very soon. That's why I keep mentioning Verizon. Hotmail, any of you have Hotmail?
Yeah.
Hotmail, about 3 weeks ago, announced a paid tier to Hotmail. A paid tier to Outlook.com. What do you think is going to happen as soon as their paid tier comes out and goes in full force? What do you think is going to happen to all your free users? The only free email service that you can really count on being around for a while is Gmail. Now, why I mentioned this, I'm going to show you a couple of things in the next few minutes that require Google accounts. One of them is called Hangouts, which is the next app I'm going to show you. But in the last class of the cruise in here, I'm going to show you how to set up a Gmail account. So you can set it up when you go home. You can set it up, right, but I'm going to show you how to set up a Gmail account, how to transfer your email over, how to let everybody else know, and everything like that. So don't worry. But I want to show you an app. This is a free app. On iPhone and iPad, it's called Hangouts. I'm telling you this because you need a Google account to be able to use it. On Android, it's called Hangouts Dialer. And what Hangouts does is it allows you to make phone calls to the US and Canada from anywhere in the world that you have a Wi-Fi connection for free. It's called Hangouts. Now,
Could you say that one?
Hangouts.
What does it do?
So I'm going to show you. But it allows you, so what you do is you open the application, you sign in with your Google account, and you can go ahead and you can type in a phone number in the US or in Canada, and it'll make a call to a real phone for free.
So it's on the App Store?
Hangouts. It's in the App Store. It's called Hangouts. It's called Hangouts. It's in the App Store. Now, for me, I'll tell you personally, I don't use this app very much anymore because I have the Wi-Fi calling, if that makes sense. But this will call any number in the US and Canada for free. They're expanding to the UK very, 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 very soon. So I mention it, they don't have the routing fully down for the UK, but you can do, it is cheaper than Skype to call the UK, real numbers from the UK, from this. You can also use this application to call anyone, anywhere, yeah.
And neither one of them use roaming charges?
This all goes over Wi-Fi. That's what's very cool. So both of these, there's no roaming charges or anything. As long as you have an internet connection of some sort, you can go in and you can use this.
But
Which
you
is,
can't use it on the ship if you don't have the.
if you don't have internet, no, you can't use it on the ship. But if you have internet, it'll work with the elite packages or anything like that. These will work. Yeah.
You're talking about Verizon, or you're talking about to have a Google account?
So the Verizon, you can have Verizon Wi-Fi calling, but you must set it up with Verizon before you leave the United States. The Google one, if
Is
you
it free, or Verizon gets their?
no, Verizon doesn't get anything. This is completely different from Google. What I'm saying is, this is something everyone in this room could set up on the ship right now.
Okay.
If you had internet, everybody in the room could set it up. And I'm just showing you some cool travel tech, because a lot of you go, well, I can't make a phone call without roaming, and the answer is, of course you can.
But being that pluralized hangouts.
Hangouts, Hangouts.
And
Yes.
someone call you on hangouts?
Somebody can call you on Hangouts as well. What?
What number would they call?
So when you set it up, it will ask to tie to your phone number, and you'll go through these different steps. You don't need to do that, but you can tie it to your phone number, and it will dial to your phone number and it'll ring in Hangouts.
To your cell phone or to a landline?
You can
Still
choose.
have it.
You can choose. There's whole setups, there's all this logic and logistics, and you'll see what's going on. This app walks you through everything. It's a really cool app. It's called Google Hangouts. It's very interesting one. Now, the last communications app I want to talk to you about is the communications app I use more than anything else. And I think eventually this is what's going to replace the phone, the text messaging, the FaceTime, everything. And some of you have heard of this before and you go, I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to use that. But I have a whole class on this. So something we have that I'll let you know that's coming up at 8 p.m. on most port evenings. So most port evenings, in the I Lounge on Deck 6, we have something called the Tech Tip. Most of the port evenings will be at 8 p.m. It only lasts about 20-25 minutes. And it's going to be on different topics. So the first one's going to be on the Apple TV. If you've heard of the Apple TV before, it's a little box. So the first one's going to be on the Apple TV. That's on the Bonaire night. And you'll see this all in the daily program. But what the next one's going to be on is going to be on an application that I use a lot called Facebook Messenger. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Facebook Messenger before. Let me open Facebook Messenger and see who I've messaged lately. This is a bad idea. You say I don't like to do Facebook. Okay, let me make sure. Okay, this is just a technical question that I've been asking to make sure there's nothing bad. Okay, so what's cool is I can go in on the Facebook Messenger and I can chat with people from around the world on Facebook Messenger, and I can chat with anybody. But here's the cool thing: not only can I text chat, I'm seeing if there's anybody who would likely video with me. Not only can I text chat, but I can also video. I just have to find someone who would answer my call. Are we Facebook friends? We are?
You said you were here too, I said, yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah. Give me your iPad for a second. You got Facebook Messenger on there, right? I'm going to connect her up. 4 seconds. And what's cool is we can have a Facebook Messenger conversation. And we're going to do a whole thing on that, but what's cool is when you go in, that'll connect up in a few seconds. Facebook Messenger, it's a free application, but I can go in and she's going to find me. Oh, you were? Well, I got you on another way. Oh, Vince! Vince was on last cruise. Hold on. Let's go for Vince.
Vince Greco.
Vince is, you know Vince?
No, my son's name is Vincent Greco.
No, Vince was on last cruise. Vince is going to kill me for this. Me and Vince became friends last cruise, but I'm going to try and call someone off the ship. Just see if it wants to ring Vince. But here's the cool thing. Oh, hey, Vince! Vince is back home. Vince, I bet you never guess where you are right now. I told you. I don't have. Well, no, this is the first class, Vince. Come on. Okay, Vince. I was just saying hi because you were online. You can wave bye to everyone, Vince. And remember, you're holding your phone the wrong way. Sideways, Vince. Come on. Sideways. You have to change it. All right, Vince. I'm going to let you go. Oh, there he goes. There's Vince. There's Vince. But you can see I'm making a call. And this is what's going to eventually replace the phone companies. And okay, Vince, have a good one. That was Vince. He was on for the last 2 weeks before that. But you can download Facebook Messenger, and you can actually make video calls, make voice calls, send pictures, do all that. But here's what I like. A lot of us say, okay, I use FaceTime, I use iMessage, and then you come across someone who doesn't use an Apple device. And then you can't talk to them. Facebook Messenger works across everything. Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPad, everything Facebook Messenger works across, which is what's really quite cool. Now I brought a couple gadgets. Someone's texting me. I brought a couple really interesting gadgets that I love from over the years. I want to show you, this is really cool. Any of you invest in the stock market? If you invest in the stock market, you would be very familiar with the company. As of last week, you might know about the company that makes the product that's in my hand. Snapchat. Probably all heard of Snapchat before. Yeah, Snapchat. They make this really strange app, but I like to show because this is an interesting piece of technology. Now, Snapchat's an app. It's like Facebook or anything like that. But this is Snapchat's first physical product. And I like to show it because it's unique. It's different. It's a pair of sunglasses. And you might say, huh? No, I don't.
Shut the camera on.
They're called spectacles. And when I press the button, you should see a little white light going around. It's actually recording what I'm doing. So they're called Snapchat spectacles. And they're really cool because it's built around an app. And these glasses have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and everything inside of them. And I never wore glasses until I had a purpose. I used to have Google Glass, the Google glasses, and then I got in trouble because I used them for something not good. I loaded everybody on the boat's picture into my glasses, and I'd walk by and greet people by first name and say happy birthday when it was near their birthday. It creeped people out a little too much. I thought it was cool. These just take video, but what's really cool about this is how well thought out this tech is. Because you see this case? This case actually charges the glasses as well.
But what does the glasses do?
They take video.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's a cool, novel piece of technology, but the answer is, that's it. What? You go to your grandchild's class, you go anywhere, they're not going to say they're water resistant or anything like that, but I've gotten wet before. They run about $160. They just started selling them online. So they just started selling them online. I just like to show it to you as cool tech. Now I'll show you another piece of cool tech that's actually a piece of cool tech that you can get on board. I really like this one. I'm using it for something right now, but that's okay. So this is really cool. This is called the M-Edge Sack Pack. And this is something I have never seen before. For me to say I've never seen something before is it's a pretty big statement, and I had never seen this before. This is a battery pack built into a bag. And what's so cool about this is you have a USB port on the outside of the bag, and you just plug your iPhone in and you charge it from there. And then you can charge the bag from there. But I'm going to be completely honest. This guy's not big enough for me. So I put a granddaddy inside. It made me feel a little bit better about the tech that I had. So I put a big one. But I can put all kinds of different ones inside. And the reason why you'd need something like this is if you're going to go out in port and you're going to take a whole bunch of pictures and video. So I want to talk about pictures for a minute. This is going to sound very strange, but this is how I'm going to know who was here today versus who was here today versus who's here tomorrow. Because the people here today are hopefully going to learn this. I want you to all take out your phones or your tablets and take a picture of me. Now I gave you a hint earlier on the conversation I was having with Vince, but I want you to go ahead and take a picture of me. Just as still. I will stand still.
That's possible.
Okay, so I see a couple people that have cruised with me before, and they're doing it wrong.
Good class.
It takes a little bit of reinforcement. Come on, let's try. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
When I used FaceTime
So-
with my son and did it this way.
So, here's the thing. When we take a picture, the correct way to take a picture is not the way most of us were taking a picture. Most of us took the picture like this, correct?
Correct.
Now, I'm going to take a picture like this real quick. Boop. And then I'm going to take a picture like this. Watch these side screens. Which one has more picture on it.
That's what it is?
That one or that one? The way we should almost always take pictures is sideways with the camera at the top. Now, why sideways camera at the top? Because if we take it with sideways camera at the bottom, what happens? Our picture's upside down. We could go in, we could hit rotate 90 degrees, and guess what? Now our picture's right side up. But what happens if you take a video that way? Can you rotate video? Now, if you're taking a vertical picture, here's the thing to understand. So I've got my big water bottle, got my giant water bottle right here, and when I got my giant water bottle, I'm going to take a picture vertically. Here's the thing, 99% of the time we want to take it this way. You do have that 1% of the time when you have a big building that you need to take a picture of, but the majority of the time, and you see the difference. You see how little information you capture there?
Yeah.
That's why I get those.
That's why you get those bars.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why you get the bars. Now, the thing is, this wasn't the manual that came with your device. Who reads the manual? Good question. I guess I'm the only one. Now, some of you might have an Android device. Anybody got an Android device? So if you have an Android device, you'll notice that your camera's in the center, correct? You want your charger on the right. So where you charge it, so you have a, where's your flash on the, but is it in the center? I guess that, your physical camera, is it in the center of your device? Let me quickly check. Yeah. The way to take it though, is sideways with your charger port in your right hand. That's what I mean. So if the camera is in the center, you want the charger port in the right hand. That's the way that it's actually laid out and that you should be taking the picture. Now, I will tell you, I am a stickler to this. I was dating a girl who we went out in port all the time, and she would take pictures like this, and I would stop her, and I would tell her to take pictures like this. And she would say, you have to leave your work at work. And I would say, no. And that's why we're no longer together. Because she wouldn't take pictures in the correct way. That is a true statement. I wish that were a joke, but it is not a joke. But here's something I want to show you. Tomorrow's class is all about taking pictures. So tomorrow in here, we're going to talk about how to take better pictures. It's called The Camera You Always Have With You is the name of tomorrow's class. And the best camera you own is the camera you always have with you. Some of us might own a big sexy camera, but the best camera you own is the camera you always have with you. And we're going to talk about taking pictures tomorrow, but there's another thing after you take pictures. Here's the question. Where do you all put your pictures? Where are they backed up? Well, someone said the G word. We're going there. So we're going to have a whole class on something that won't be offered anywhere else on the planet, called Google Photos, which is a really, really cool piece of software. If you've never heard of it before, you might have used its ancestor called Picasa. The ancestor of Google Photos is called Picasa, but I want to show you a little video real quick and see if you've faced this problem before, because I'm sure a lot of us have.
Okay, just like that. I'm gonna take a picture, son. Ready?
1,
2, 3. Ah, I missed
oh, Laura's holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa all by her.
Take as many photos as you want without running out of space. Introducing Free Up Space. Never
I'll give you that
again with Google Photos.
So it's a really, really cool app. It's called Google Photos, and here's the concept of it. I'm just going to give you the overall concept. Imagine if you could have all of your pictures and all of your videos from across all of your devices, your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android, your external hard drive, in one place, unlimited, that you can search through with just a search box for free. This is very cool. The problem is, I don't know if any of you have ever been to a Google store. I haven't. Well, I have. I've been to one Google store, but that doesn't really count. Nobody
we
teaches.
have.
You have? What, the one in New York?
She's not been doing it.
Where?
Her granddaughter works at Google. She's been to Google.
But you haven't been to the Google store, because there is no Google store.
Oh wait, no, there is a Google
There is a
store.
Google
Where?
store.
She has a T-shirt from
Google.
there.
Yeah, at Google.
Yes.
Yeah, that's different. I'm talking about a real Google store.
It was a
One that they
Google
teach you. One that they teach you about Google Photos in a classroom environment. They don't have something like that. I want to show you really cool. Someone give me something random that I might search it, that I might have taken a picture with at some point in time. I like this to be completely random.
Polar bear.
Polar bear. Monkeys I did last week. But no, I'm saying last week, like I saw monkeys. I'll show you the monkeys, but I can type in polar bear. Now I can't spell. But here's what's cool. This is now searching through all of my pictures, and it's hopefully going to find me a picture, come on, of polar bears. There we go. There's a polar bear. Oh, look at that.
You actually took a picture of the polar bear?
Well, that's a diorama from SeaWorld. That's a diorama from somewhere. But yes, these are my pictures, and you'll see it's actually identified a polar bear in there somewhere. That's in the Antarctica exhibit at SeaWorld. It can figure this out. I never told it polar bear. Now you said monkey, so I can look at monkey. Huh? No. I took a bunch of pictures of monkeys last week. Gorilla?
Chimp?
I can't believe I can't find the monkey. See, this is weird, because I took a whole bunch of pictures of monkeys. Last week, I took pictures of monkeys on a really cool tour called The Best of Barbados, which is a cool tour you can take. I took a whole bunch of pictures of monkeys, but I guess they don't look enough like monkeys, and things are being weird. Oh, there's my Best of Barbados. But here's the cool thing. If I wanted to find Richard in Lisbon eating ice cream, all I ever told it is who Richard was. And I've got Richard in Lisbon eating ice cream. And October 25th, 2016, September 14th, 2016, and October 17th, 2013. I like ice cream, and I have a special ice cream place that I really love in Lisbon. But I can go through and I can look through these pictures even after, and it looks through and it does it automatically. Now here's the thing. My goal is just to expose you to the fact that this application exists. We've got whole classes on Google Photos later on in the cruise. Now, what we have is we have two different ways that we do Google Photos. So you know, we will be doing Google Photos in here at 4 p.m. St. Kitts afternoon. So the afternoon of St. Kitts. We leave St. Kitts at 3:45 p.m. So at 4 o'clock, if you can't make it to the class, you have a bigger problem because you've probably missed the ship. So just be aware of that. So St. Kitts at 4 p.m. in here, we're going to be taking a look at Google Photos. We're going to go through the entire process of how you set it up across all your devices and everything like that. Now what we're also going to have is something a little bit different. Now what we have is we have publicly together, you don't need to sign up for about 19 different classes I have throughout the cruise. Ranging, I want to give you an idea on the range. Tomorrow is about the camera. We've got Apple TV, Facebook Messenger, YouTube and Netflix. We've got a whole class. Now, this is going to make some people's brains hurt that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to explain to you why. I've got a whole class on the new products that Google has put out that directly compete with Apple. And you might say, why would Richard show the products that Google put out that directly compete with Apple? Because here's the thing. Apple finally has a good competitor. And that's going to make Apple better. So I want you to be advised of what Google's doing. We will maybe talk about the Samsung phones a little bit. Now you'll see right there inside of that cabinet there's a fire extinguisher if we might need it. So this is an S7, not a Note 7. This is not one of the ones that light on fire. But we essentially have two different ways that we do things. We have the ones in here that are big, that are 100 people. Then we've got something I do, something a little bit different called iLearn VIP. That's 4 classes. They're an hour and a half each. And I have the information on it up here. Those start tomorrow at 3:30 is the first one of those. It's very different than what we do in here. It's only 20 people. It's hands-on. It's very, very different than what we would normally do in here. But I have a couple, and I'll give you a little more information on that. I have that up here, but I want to show you 2 nerdy gadgets, 2 of the nerdiest things I own. But I'll show you one more thing. Do any of you watch the TV show Shark Tank?
Yes.
Yeah. You watch the TV show Shark Tank. So I want to show you a product that was taped for Shark Tank. What the weird thing about Shark Tank is they don't always put things that are taped for Shark Tank on TV. Only about 10% of the things that are taped. But this lady actually got a deal. And what was very interesting is she was sitting right here on this ship 3 years ago. And she said, I have an idea that I want to make, and I want to take to Shark Tank. And I said, let's chat. So we went and we had a coffee. I talked to her about the idea. And when she went on Shark Tank, she sent me these two things. Ladies in the room, you probably have cases on your phones, on your tablets and stuff like that. I want to show you the ultimate lady iPhone case. This is a Swarovski crystal.
Oh my.
Isn't it so pretty? I don't like shiny things, but if you like shiny things, just to show you what's very interesting is, people get ideas on cruise ships and different things happen. But I want to show you another Shark Tank product that you may, this one will become very useful on your cruise. I love this. I use one myself. It's called the Mission Belt. It's a ratcheting belt, so after you go to the specialty restaurants, you just let out one ratchet. You keep letting the ratchets out until it feels okay. There's no holes. The end of my technology knows no bounds. That's what's very, very cool. So, as I said, let me give you, and then I'll leave you with these last things. So, every sea day at about 1 o'clock, usually 1 o'clock, sometimes it moves to 12 or 2, just depending on if something else has to go in here. About 1 o'clock, we're going to do something in here. What we have coming up, tomorrow we're going to be talking about the camera that you always have with you, which is your phone or your tablet.
Yeah.
The next sea day, after Aruba and all those other things like that, we're going to be talking about apps. And then we're going to be talking about the cloud. And then we're going to talk about switching over to Gmail and moving all your stuff over to Gmail. And if you have Gmail in another account, how to move it over, how to tell people, how to move your contacts, your calendars, different things over to Gmail from anything, as well as some other fun, cool stuff. Almost every fortnight, check the daily program, we're going to have something called iLearn Tech Tips, which are on all kinds of different stuff. Some Google stuff, some Facebook, some Snapchat, whatever we do. I just got a new video game console called the Nintendo Switch, which I'm going to play with, and maybe we'll do something with that. It's very, very interesting. And then we also have the iLearn VIP, but I'm going to let you know something I'm doing right now. Everything we're doing now, I'm actually recording. And I'll give you at the end of the cruise, or if you want during the cruise, I can tell it to you right now. I have a website, but I'm uploading it too, so you don't really need to take notes. It's kind of a new thing now. Certain things will have handouts, both Google Photos and Gmail. It's just called iLearnReview.com. It's a review of this stuff on iLearn. So I posted up a day or so after we do it. But one of the really cool things we're going to do is before the 8 o'clock class, every single night we have the 8 o'clock class for 10 minutes before, I'm making something called iLearn Review Now, or iLearn Review Live, which we're going to tape a little 5-10 minute segment about some kind of new tech, and that's going to be posted. And you can come, if you come before the class a couple minutes, you can watch it be taped live. But the cool thing is once you get home, you can watch it as well, which is what's really cool. So it's
That second one, iLearn Review?
no, it's just iLearn Review. It's all on iLearn Review. The live, it's just iLearnReview.com, and you can see what's going on. But I want to leave you with this last thing. I know some of you came from cold places. Yes?
Yeah.
You're not going to need these in the Caribbean, but I have these for when we get to Russia, because it's sometimes a little cold in Russia. These are my gloves. And some of you have probably seen the left glove before, the right glove before, but you've never seen the left glove before. That's a guarantee. The right glove, how many of you have a pair of gloves that you can touch your touch screen with on your device, and you're like, oh, that's old news. And what's interesting is the variables of people that you see, because the lady who came up with that, with the cases was sitting right there, and sitting right there where you're sitting was the guy many years ago who actually invented touchscreen gloves. He owned the patent for touchscreen gloves. I didn't believe him. I made him show me the patent, and then he logged in and he showed me the patent. But these are not just touchscreen gloves. This is probably the nerdiest thing I own. Because if I got my touchscreen gloves on, I know I can touch the screen of my phone, but it's hard to actually answer and accept that phone call. So if I'm walking around, I've got my phone connected, my phone rings, I can hit this little green button right here, and then I go like this and I make a little phone signal with my hand, and I have a speaker in the thumb, and a microphone in the pinky, and I can actually take the phone call, which is what's really, really, really nerdy. I agree. But it's very, very cool. So we have at least 19, sometimes I add more, we have at least 19 courses left in this cruise. today was just to get to know each other, to get some bearings and stuff like that. I have the sign-up sheet for the VIP. The VIP are 4 1.5-hour-long classes. They're done in the iLounge every C day at 3:30, other than today, so starting on tomorrow. And for all 4 of the classes, it's $49 and together. I'm saying for everything together. And you get some other benefits. You also, any of the apps from the class you get to download without using your internet time. You can use my internet time to download any of the apps we talk about, Hangouts, different things like that. And we can set you up. I've got the information on the clipboard that's right up here if you have any interest. Elsewise, I will see you all back here again at 1 p.m. tomorrow for the. You have a question?
Just one.
Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
I understand this month, or
Yeah.
next month, Apple is making announcements about.
I'm not going to go into that on camera, but I'll talk to you about that privately. Yes. Yeah.
Quick
I
question, that
can't.
bag that you had with
Yep.
how much is it?
$29. We sell it upstairs on deck 6 with the iLounge, with a little battery pack inside. I'm going to let this go off, and hopefully I'll see most of you tomorrow at 1. I'll answer any of the questions around after. I'll see you tomorrow at 1 for the camera you always have with you.